Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Today is October 24th, 2016. Can I have a roll call, please?
Aaron's here. Caparos?
Here.
Whalen?
Here.
Coleman?
Here.
Basil?
Here.
Meyer? Here.
We have the minutes from October 11th. Changes, corrections, comments? If not, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made. Second. There is a second. Any questions of the motion? Roll call.
Aaron's abstain. Caparos?
Yes.
Whalen?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Basil?
Abstain?
Meyer? Yes.
Clerk's report.
The total tax income received since last month at this time totals $437,985.94. The bulk of that is real estate taxes coming in. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone from the audience wish to address the board? Now we have Finance Administration Committee, Trustee Mark.
There's a report enclosed showing monthly income from the state to compare month by month. And the state income tax and the state use tax looks like it's going up steadily, but the sales tax is lagging behind. And there are a bunch of theories as to why that could be happening, but we don't get enough detail from the state of Illinois to be able to actually track what's happening. The thing that I thought was interesting, most of it kind of goes along with the economy. I mean, that first year it was really high, it's dipped every year. The only thing that kind of surprises me is this year, like month over month from last year, it's, I mean, almost every single month is down. And
That's what prompted that report to see
Yeah.
where we stack up.
because you could see here, it pretty much goes along with the economy, and I know we're only estimating this year based on what we have so far, but just looking at the month by month, that is a little bit weird.
I think we can attribute it to the cost of gasoline. It's down to $2 a gallon, and when that happens, the tax, of course, the sales tax.
But that's happened before, I mean, it's pretty low
Yeah.
right now, but, you know.
Or somebody's not reporting.
Yeah, you
Is it
know,
trouble?
it'd be interesting, this go back a few years earlier, when the economy was really going, just so you see a difference, you know, because I think even in '09 and '10, I think that everything was starting to go down a little bit.
Yeah, and people were still spending then, I think, because they weren't, they're kind of in a little bit of a denial as to what was happening, but as you can see, all the other years, it makes sense with the economy, but this year is a little bit strange. But anyway, the second meeting in November, we'll discuss next year's tax levy, and a formal vote on the levy will occur at the first meeting in December. And the 5-year financial plan is now in development. We hope to have the first draft out by December 1st, but no later than the first meeting in December. That concludes my report.
I got one question on that, sorry. With the state income tax, how are we? Are we caught up? I mean, you see the couple of the big payments, are we still missing any, or is the state caught up with us?
We've consistently always been 2 months behind for years now. But, I mean, it's staying steady. We get a payment every single month. We just haven't gotten this month's payment yet because this income tax has been coming in really late in the month lately.
Okay.
Well, what they'll do, John, is they'll skip a month and then give us a double payment the following month. You can see in June we got 101,000, and the following month we got nothing.
Yeah, well, there was a while back though where they got 3-4 payments behind, I think.
Yeah.
Right now, they're pretty
We
good.
haven't had that at all lately.
Okay, good, all right, thank you.
Public Buildings and Properties, Parks and Recreation.
New generator is in, it's hooked up, it's running.
It's hooked up, it ain't running yet.
Okay,
We're still working on it.
still working on it. Well, the phones are up, correct?
Phones are,
So, that's a good thing. I think everybody got the memo that the phones are up.
do we have a date when the generator is gonna be?
Just waiting for a phone call. I believe they intended to be here Wednesday, Thursday this week, so by the end of the week, we should be able to put it to bed.
So I understand that it still could run, it's just the programming of the transfer.
They have to program it, I think he has to just fine tune it in with the programming.
So we're not sure if there's a problem yet, it's just.
I know the thing ran in their, at their building, I know it ran at our building, I know they had a couple sputtering issues, I don't know if it was it's a matter of them, like I said, they gotta get everything, put them all in line, test run it. And I believe it'll be done at probably like at 6 o'clock at night. I mean, there will be no shutting off the power here or anything like that.
Not while we're having our meeting.
No. Well, maybe.
Now, how does that work with the transfer, with the phone system? I mean, the phone system's gonna go down.
No, the minute that it transfers over to the generator, it will,
It'll still stay up?
yes.
So the phone system is is it a battery?
The battery lasted an hour and a half. I think they cut power to the building at 6 AM, and we got here at 8, it was too late. That's what happened. So it could have happened if we had a power failure when we weren't open for longer than 2 hours. Is that correct? Probably.
And the battery backup lasts a little bit more than an hour, and it just, the generator hookup took longer than what we anticipated. We should have hooked a portable generator up to it in the meantime, but it wasn't thought of until too late.
Too late.
Yeah, but the hard drive would have failed.
Yeah, the hard drive
Okay.
failed.
It would have failed the next time it was turned off, it would have. So
Yeah, I
maybe it's
think it
good
was
that it's
just
done
the-
now and
yeah.
not when we had a real
Okay.
crisis.
Next, they said, the call one guy said they'd never seen a hard drive fail on one of this type of equipment before. It was the first time they'd seen it, and we had 2 different texts that said the same thing.
All right. Continued discussion on the future of passive park maintenance. Last meeting, we discussed the issue. Our concentration is on Depot Park, you know, with the depot and the Veterans Memorial and the gazebo. I'm going to send letters out to different organizations in the community, see how that goes, and then I guess we can talk about.
My suggestion was we do that, and meet as a committee, and discuss it there, and then the presentation of the board.
Right. Okay. That ends my report.
Planning, building, and zoning trustee.
Building department monthly report was enclosed for your review. Item number 2, consider an ordinance granting an amendment to the planning development for Nantucket Cove subdivision. This amendment consists of 4 modifications to the architectural code. Is only applicable to Altough, and the ordinance is written as such. 4 modifications are as follows. Reduce the number of parkway trees from 3 to 2 per lot. Allow minimum roof pitch of 612 instead of 712. Reduce the square footage on the first floor of a 2-story from 1,250 to 1,000 square feet, but keep the total of 2,000 square feet the same. Lower the brick requirement from the first floor facing the street to 1/3 of the first floor, replacing the brick with other architectural features. Petitioners here, did you need to let us know anything else, or?
That's all right. Do you have any questions?
The ordinance was written to only apply to Old Hall, not to any other future buyer in the subdivision. That was something that I think that was brought up 2 meetings ago, whether or not that could be done. And the attorney said it could be, and it was voted that way.
Send out an email after that with the answer, hopefully everybody got it.
I have a question. Who would be in charge of the homeowners association out there up till, you know, I know the current owner is the homeowners association, right?
Right now, there's 1,000 Realty is managing the project, and the homeowners are paying into it. I don't know what other arrangements there are, or what your contract calls for, I don't.
Our contract doesn't really call for anything like that, so the current owners are still the board members of the association, and they have hired a management company to manage the day-to-day. We do the same thing in our communities, we're actively the board, but we'll hire a management company and
Okay.
of course take a fee for that.
So approving of the building plans and everything are gonna be done through this current owner, correct?
Yep.
I actually have a question as far as the way the ordinance was written, and some of this might just be the way I was hearing things in my head when this was happening, but the original one called for half of the front being brick, right, and we're lowering it to 1/3?
The original
Or it was
covenant
first floor.
said, any side facing the street must have first floor brick.
All first floor brick.
Just first, not all the way around, but just on the sides facing
Right.
the street.
Okay. When we were talking about this before, we talked about 1/3 with the rest of the replacement of the brick with other architectural features is what you have here. And I guess if I wanted to be picky, the way it's written, it just says it's amended to require a minimum of 1/3 brick. So I kind of liked the idea of having the other architectural features, and I know probably nobody's gonna go around the slide rule to come up with the amount of the difference, but there was nothing in the way the ordinance was written to show that there was gonna be other architectural features included. Just my little piggy point on
But I got a question following up with that. From what I understand, Joe, it is, right? Most of your architectural features would be on the second floor.
It's the
As far
same
as like the
elevations that I
scallops and
showed
stuff
you.
like that that
Yep.
you put into the siding and.
The overhang.
Yeah, I think with
So it's
the,
not really the first floor.
it's
that's
not
the
really the
issue.
first floor anyway, because it's mostly just siding above that brick line.
Mhm.
Anyway, where the other architectural features are still on the front of the house, but they would be more into the second story of it. Because I did look at that too, Marson.
Yeah, because it was like, I didn't want to have it turned into just doing, you know,
Yeah, but like,
flat vinyl across it. and-
like
Because we
looking
did
at the
discuss other
pictures, they
features.
put like the shake style siding on, like dormers that are bumped out and stuff like that, that's where we'll see it more in shutters and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Or I don't know if that would qualify under the first story, what we're actually amending.
Mhm.
It'll be those exact elevations that I showed you that day. I mean, I don't know if you can, if you wanted to make a motion.
You're under record, you're under.
Yeah, I mean, I can
record
bring you
here,
copies of them
Joe.
too for your file. I mean, so if you wanted to make the motion that it's those elevations, I can then bring you copies for your file or something. I'm comfortable with that.
Which we already
Yeah.
have. Would that solve your problem? We won't issue the building permit if
Yeah,
it's something
it's
different than the
not-
elevations that we were providing.
Yeah. No, and I didn't really have any issue with it, I
Great.
was just kind of looking for protection
Sure.
reasons, you know.
But I caught that though too, it's just the difference in what it was.
In the way
worded
that,
in
yeah,
our-
the terminology.
In our packet and versus what the ordinance said.
But like we had talked about at the last meeting, I have no issue with reducing the amount of trees. I think that's, most of the other subdivisions call for 2 trees per lot anyway, unless you're on a corner. Whippy, I think, had 2, except you had to have 3 if it was a corner lot. Well, when I lived out there, we had to, they might have changed that.
Maybe it was 1.
I was on a corner, okay, maybe it was 2. I was on a corner lot, so there was a difference. The roof pitch, I actually went and Googled the difference on how those look today. I don't have an issue with the roof pitch, I don't have an issue with the 2, with the square footage. And as long as we're okay and, you know, we're approving those elevations with, brick, these are really the only 4 things we are looking at for tonight anyway, because the rest of everything was previously approved.
Yeah, I know I'm odd, but I read it differently. I read it that the overall picture with the other architectural features in 1/3 brick. It's just a way of interpretation. Bottom line is, like we said, what we see.
Yeah, as long as
He
this,
gave us is
yeah.
what we're looking for.
Is this gonna be hardy board, or is it gonna be aluminum, or vinyl siding?
There's vinyl on the homes, there's Miratech, which is like a fibrous material. A lot of the trims around the windows and things like that have that as well, but there is vinyl siding on the homes as well.
It wasn't it when Montalbano was building, that's all vinyl out there,
It
right?
is.
The only big difference is the brick, you know, on the front of the house.
And the nice thing about vinyl products today though is they hold up a lot longer than they used to 20 years ago. It's, yeah, it's a better product than it used to be. But you still have to wash it in a power washer every now and then.
And I actually like the look of having a variety of different kinds of surfaces and things on the front. Me personally, 100% brick houses I do not find to be particularly attractive, they look a little boring. 100%, 100% vinyl houses. You know, all you're doing is flat, I think that looks boring, I like to have the different elevations.
And we've had problems too, when we've worked with builders trying to get the sides and the rears of their homes to be a little different than the boxy look. You know, a lot of those sides have no windows at all. We've had some homes built out there that had no windows at all. We're working with the builders out there now to put more features on the sides.
I was driving around too today, just for giggles, I kind of went down Miller Street, like we have back behind some, I mean, that neighborhood's been there for, you know, a gazillion years now, but all those brick ranch houses that are basically stamped out, I mean, every single one looks identical when you go east of Route 1 on your street, you know.
I live
Yes, exactly,
All right.
and probably when those, I'm just gonna pick on you,
in.
because
I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
yeah.
and basically, when those were first built, I mean, I know they're brick houses, but they probably looked pretty boring on the back sides. Luckily, once the subdivision is finished and you've got houses on both sides, all you're seeing is the street side. The backs of them, you're only gonna see the back of another house when you're looking out your window if you live out there. But, you know, the builder builds buildings, it's kind of, you know, they're just boring old buildings. What makes it a neighborhood is the people that move in, and they add decks and swing sets and fences and swimming pools and landscaping and things like that dress up the back of the house. Yeah, not all of them are really beautiful when you look at them, and they just look like a bunch of flat back houses, but that is part of what was approved the first time around anyway.
Now, with the brick front, there's not much front, you know, on these plans, is there? I mean, there's a lot of windows, there's porch, there's garages. Why don't you want to go with the brick front?
So we think it'd be nice to start with the wainscot level, which is what we had talked about. I think you're gonna see that many, many people will choose higher levels. We offer higher, it's not as though there won't be any. You know, and this was just a thing that we thought would be good to start with out there. Kinda get things going again. It's not been really anything that's happened there in a long time.
So this is what you're saying, the minimum,
Minimum, yeah.
and then you work up from there, as far as the brick.
You know, many people will choose
And
more.
didn't you give us a percentage of how many people pick what design? Is it 60/40?
That was on the 3-car, was the.
On the 3-car, okay. Do you have any percentages on,
I don't, but a lot of times when we put our own spec homes in, call them spec homes or ready to move in homes or something, we'll put that higher level too, you know, I mean, so I think you'll see a lot of people choose that, but it's a good starting point.
This is just something I'm throwing out there, I'm not gonna say what builder or subdivision or advertisement to anyone, but, in my travels for work, I was in Lamont, and I sent, Bob and Greg an email with a website attached to it that they could see. I mean, this is not uncommon, not everybody likes the look of brick. I'll give an example, is this subdivision is selling homes, luxury estate-size homes, base price starting at, I think the cheapest one was like $685,000 up to an $850,000 base price of their home. They have a model that's got 1/3 stone in the front. I don't think it says anything to do with the value or the quality of the home. I just think that different people have different tastes. It was a cultured stone, very similar to, almost exactly like, and I sent it to Bob. I mean, this model home even almost looked very similar to yours, much bigger square footage wise, but, you know, on a much bigger estate size lot, but this home was, base price was at $685,000 as a base price of the home. Had 1/3 brick in the front, cultured stone, that was it. So, it's not uncommon, it's not. I don't see a problem with it personally.
Any other questions or discussion?
I'd like to,
Sorry, Gail, it's yours.
just make a comment. If we allow this, what is this gonna say for the future of Beecher? What's the next guy gonna wanna do?
We can cut the next guy off. You know, I mean, this is already an approved subdivision that's,
You did it
But
for
they're
him,
asking for
but
40.
are you gonna do it for the next guy?
no,
Yeah, you try that,
Try it,
I got no
Try it.
problem with it.
try it.
try it, you're right.
I think an answer to that is because we made it specific to Althoff Homes, so it's not opening the door for everybody else. So everything is done on a case-by-case basis. That was one thing we were trying to make sure of, that it was specific to him and only him. In the event that he built 10 homes, he went away, which I realize he's very optimistic, and somebody else walks in the door and it's somebody that maybe their homes aren't as attractive, but they want the same minimum standards, we may not want to give it to them. And that's what we're trying to be careful of here.
I got one thing to say about that. You gotta take each area and subdivision, as you go through the approval of a PUD, each one on its own case. And we have to see what's coming up. You know, I remember you know, was talking about it before that, I mean, we need to fill vacant lots. There's been discussions at this board that we have too many vacant lots sitting out there. I look at it as we got a builder that builds a quality product, we're not letting a bad product come into our community. A quality builder, a reputable builder, an award-winning builder that wants to make an investment in our community. I for one, am not gonna stand in the way of that.
And I think it says worse, like for the future of Beecher or about Beecher, if we have nothing but empty subdivisions that nobody wants to build in.
Do you have anything in the code?
We have an ordinance number.
1250.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 1250, granting an amendment to the plan development for Nantucket Cove subdivision.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor and there was a second. Any questions on the motion? Roll call.
Meyer,
Yes.
Basil,
Yes.
Coleman,
No.
Whaling,
No.
Caperos.
Yes.
Aaron's.
No.
Samansky.
Yes. Okay, item number 3.
And number 3, PCC discussed solar panels as a special use. There's very little support for taking up improved industrial land for solar panels which have no assessed value. However, PCC did agree that there is a benefit of having solar instead of thermal energy, and since it is a harvesting energy, they believe that the use in freestanding solar panels, which is being not affixed to a structure, should only be for the special use permit in agricultural districts. The village planner was directed to research this issue and provide some options for consideration at our next meeting, which may not occur till after the holidays. And that's my
Public safety trustee Moore.
Yeah, police department monthly report is enclosed. Review. Also, the code enforcement monthly report is enclosed. Results of the police station open house. Chief, you wanna?
Yeah, you know, it was a lot bigger than I anticipated or expected. I even talked with Bob Barber and Greg Samansky, who stopped by to see that the crowd that flowed over from the fire station was so significant. They were even talking about closing Penfield Street next year. There was quite a few people that came through, a lot of positive comments, mostly because we held it in conjunction with the fire department. So people were already drawn here. They go from the fire station to the police station. They went back from the police station to the fire station. Helicopter landed at 7 o'clock. So it went from 5 all the way till 8 o'clock. And a lot of kids, they got to see the fire station and the police station. It worked out real good.
It's weather contingent too.
It was, we had good weather. It got a little cool, but it was beautiful, beautiful weather.
Okay, thank you, chief. Any questions of the chief or myself?
Just a comment, I understand, Chief, that we were represented at the trunk or treat.
Yes. That is correct. With the youth commission, I think Officer Sipple and Tadgen Horse were there. Tadgen Horse was saying it was close to 500 kids.
It was, yeah,
It was,
There had to be a
it
problem.
was extremely well attended.
there's quite a bit.
It's a good event for the community every year. It's a positive,
And actually-
it's a positive thing to see the department out there participating in it.
They had 25 trunks too, I heard.
34.
34 trunks. Wow.
34 trunks and roughly 370 children.
Sure wasn't 373.
Roughly?
Roughly?
My article states nearly 400.
We got it.
You gave about 500 hot dogs in like
Shade the gray.
45 minutes.
You did? Yeah.
They were gone.
Once again, nice job. Whoever took the lead on that. Who actually is taking the lead on that change?
You know, it's nice to see. I really think it's total teamwork between
I think
the
it's a
youth
joint
commission
effort.
and the chamber.
There's no lead agency.
No, I think it's two organizations that are working very well together, hand in hand. It's very nice to see.
I planned on being there, but I thought there's something to priority.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That
Anything else?
completes my report.
Thank you. Public Works Committee, trustee report.
Water Department and Sewer Department monthly reports are enclosed for your review. Chestnut Willow Street light update. ComEd has been contacted. We're awaiting a site visit for them to give us an estimate for installation cost and lease for 4 new street lights on 2 on each road. Try to get them this center and close as we can. Penfield water main update. We're approaching the end of the 30-day public notice period. After that is complete, a certified copy of the ordinance will be sent to the IEPA as the last piece of our loan application. Once we receive the go-ahead, we'll go out for bid. Fall flushing scheduled to begin on Sunday night, October 30th. This year's flush will be different, since the village will also be conducting flow testing for our ISO rating and pumping down the hydrants for freeze protection. Buddy, you want to chime in with any more details on that? Anything the residents need to expect or anything?
No, other than if they do experience any rusty water, just to let their water run for a little bit and it will clear up. It'll take a week for us to start on the north, we'll start on the north end of town, pull all the way to the south end of the town, so we should be done by Friday morning.
Okay. And this will be mostly done overnight?
It'll be done at nighttime, yes,
Yeah,
between the hours of 11 and 7.
With everything being stirred up, residents maybe in the morning go to turn on
Right.
their shower, may see a little bit of rust.
Maybe.
in the beginning, but just let it run, let the
Yeah.
shower heat up a little bit extra and it'll be fine. Beecher wastewater treatment plant rehab update. The phase 1 report has been submitted. Phase 2 design is 50% complete. The project remains on schedule for an October 1, 2017 bid letting, so we can lock in an interest rate of 1.82. We're also being told that quite possibly this loan could go for 30 years instead of 20, but we'll wait and see. We've heard yes, then we heard no, now we're hearing maybe, so we'll just see what happens when the time comes. But we are prepared with everything at 20. It would be nice if we were able to kick it out to a 30, but everything's fine and set to go at 20. Just consider it an early present, Christmas present that year if we get it at a 30. Safe Routes to School project update. IDOT's finally approved our specs for the LED beacons that they have been ordered. Hopefully before soon they'll be up and running. Sidewalk replacement program, Buddy, you want to give us an update on that?
They will be starting ripping stuff out tomorrow. I think they should be completed probably within 2 weeks. So bear with us.
Crack sealing update. Church Road from the railroad tracks east to South Park. Cardinal Creek Boulevard from Church Road to Indiana Avenue was crack sealed this year. Taking care of 2 of our major collector streets that see significant traffic. Project is complete. Leaf collection program has begun. Both brush and leaf will have the last collection day of Monday, the 28th of November, at which time the trucks need to get ready for plows and snow. Hate saying that word. Then committee will be meeting on Wednesday, October 26th at 4:30. It's actually a change in the agenda to discuss upcoming winter projects and make a capital plan for the next 5 years to help. Bob will be discussing SCADA program, pond maintenance, and a couple items for next year's budget. Any questions? If not, that concludes my report.
Economic Development, Community Relations Committee, trustee Beecher.
Fall newsletter was mailed out last week. It's a really nice job on it. It looked really good. Smartphone application overhaul is nearing completion. Any concerns or comments? Anyone have any problems with it?
Finally got mine up and running. They were having trouble with the 7 Plus with the new phone. It
Mhm.
would not load the app. They finally figured out the issue and got it fixed.
You could have just stayed with the 6.
It
Well-
was worth the issues.
You have to move forward.
Not a Samsung, right?
Yeah, it's not blowing up at this point.
Gould Street boardwalk update. Mike Snula shot the grade along the boardwalk to make sure that the 1% slope can be maintained for ADA compliance. Although we have not seen the prints yet, we are being told they are working on that. Any update on that? No? Okay. The last item, South Suburban Center for Economic Development Expo will be held at Bolt Field on Friday, October 28th. The village will be making a presentation at the expo on Friday morning. The village has 4 tickets to the event. Myself, Greg, and Bob are going, so there's room for 1 more.
We actually
No.
have 8. We have more tickets.
We have
Are
8
you-
tickets.
You're going,
Yeah.
Marcy, and Jeanette, you're going? So there's 5 spoken for. We have 3
Right,
more.
I lied. Right on.
No, Greg and I each ordered 4, not knowing we both ordered
Oh, okay.
4, so that was good. Now
We have
we
8.
Plenty of days. Yeah.
So,
So if you're interested in
You're all
going, we have
welcome.
tickets.
What time's that?
8 in the morning, 8:30,
I can go.
can you?
I think it is 8.
I think it'll be interesting. Other towns are presenting, it'll be very interesting.
Starts at 8.
Do you remember?
I've got it tonight.
I didn't put the time down here, did I?
I have 8 o'clock on my phone.
That sounds about right.
I have 8:30, but.
Well, I think 8 from here.
Eight
we're
here.
gonna
We're
go
leaving here at
together.
8, okay.
Right,
Why don't we carpool here at 8,
at 8,
if you're going?
We'll look for an email and I will verify everything.
All right.
okay. If there's no questions, that ends my report.
As I discussed at the last meeting, there was a recommendation to get rid of any unused liquor licenses at this particular point in time, so there's an amendment to the ordinance out there. Basically, what it does is it eliminates everything except for 2 licenses that are not actually pulled yet, but they have pulled building permits. So that would be the old Basil's, whatever goes in there, and whatever goes in Tubby's, which is now called Chubby's, that we would allow for that. And there was an inquiry for a beer license only, so this ordinance would allow for that. But it would remove any other open licenses. If by chance the beer license doesn't come through after a period of time, I would contact the individual again and see if he's still interested. If he's not interested, then unfortunately we'd probably make another amendment to get rid of that license as well. But then all licenses would be spoken for, and that would put a cap on the current liquor licenses that would issue. It would also cap the gaming machines, with one exception. If you have a current liquor license, which I believe the only one that's left is the golf course who has a liquor license who has not gotten gaming machines, everybody else I believe has. But basically this would put a cap on everything and stop, and then let's say for instance, if something comes in, let's say we've already talked, our wish list is basically I'm sorry, I don't drink beer, but a private PBA or a brewery, homemade brewery, or whatever you want to call it.
Microbrew.
Microbrewery, thank you. That's, I'd rather have
Not a
it.
still.
I would know that was, I'm
Very
sorry.
similar.
I don't know what that's, PBA and ABA, whatever, I don't know. Anyways, we would want one of those to come in, and if that would be the case, we would approach the village board and ask to create a new license for that. And ironically, like I had indicated, I think at the last meeting, right after that last meeting, I had 2 phone calls for more gaming parlors, 2 of them right off the bat. And it's been dead for the longest time, and the next thing you know, somebody called up and said they were interested in bringing to them. I said no at that particular point in time. So with that in mind, the ordinance that's before you does accomplish that. And if anybody would like to make a motion to approve that, which would be ordinance number 1251.
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 1251.
Correct. There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any
Just
questions?
one item to explain a little further. When the town grew, you're allowed to have 1 license per 500. And when the town grew, it opened up a lot of number of licenses. I think Greg, as liquor commissioner, is saying, look, why should I, as the liquor commissioner, decide who should and who shouldn't get a license? Let's let the village board make those decisions for expanding the number of liquor establishments in the community. Is that correct?
Yeah, I also had a concern that, like I said, I think we're becoming saturated. At that time, I believe the ordinance was created to allow, as the town grows, you could have these licenses there, but at the same token, we're not growing as fast as we were back then. And now, right now, I think we are saturated enough where I think we should slow down a little bit, take a look at what we get, and then at least it's giving me an opportunity to say, hey, we have something available.
If you want a license, you have to come to the board.
But again, I certainly don't think we would turn down another, like I said before.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Or a restaurant.
That was gonna be my number one concern, is we have two existing properties right here on Route 1 that were definitely restaurants before, where I just wanna make sure we're not shutting the door that a potential restaurant that would obviously want a liquor license, a food/bar restaurant, you know, that we're not shutting the door on anything like that. And my only other concern would be, is by doing this, would we deter anyone from considering that as a prospect?
Well,
I mean, I don't know the procedure. I mean, would somebody call and say, do you have any liquor license? Because I'm with you on, you know, I think we got enough of the gaming cafes. I really don't think we need any of that. But if that's what we're trying to accomplish by this, I don't want to shut the door on a restaurant, you know, considering the older really
in the past 4 years, this is the way it is. Someone calls up and basically contacts Bob or I and say, are we interested in this? And if it piques our interest, then unfortunately that sort of does fall back on me as liquor commissioner. Now it sort of doesn't, but saying, yeah, that is something we would want in town, as opposed to, no, I don't think it is something we want in town. We've been open enough to say that, well, I'm not sure either way. We present it to the board, get a feeling, we'll let you know. So my intention is not to shut the door. It's just that if in fact we do say no, we have more legal grounds now to say no.
That's correct.
That was both by Tim Kuiper agreed with that scenario that I learned at the conference.
If you have an open license, there's a perception there of first come, first served. And you might have a proliferation of these video gaming facilities if you have open licenses, and if they hire the right attorney, they could challenge your liquor commissioner's decision of saying no as being arbitrary and capricious. If there's no licenses, they have to come here and go through due process, and it's a board decision.
And if by chance economic times, signs of the times, or whatever that changes, we can always go increase it. It's just that right now, I think we better just hold on a little bit and see what happens. And I would agree with you, if something comes in, but I think, and again, that's what I try to explain about the brewery, but you know, go even farther than that, something would walk in the door. And let's say, a family restaurant, just a simple family restaurant that wants to have alcohol. I think we need a family restaurant that wants to serve alcohol, and I think we'd be open-minded enough to approve something like that and create one more license for that.
I think whenever we get those phone calls at the village hall, we ask more questions immediately. If they say, do you have liquor licenses, we say, what is your interest, what are you looking at a particular building or particular business, and we kind of vet that out and then refer it to Greg directly, so that we don't say, no, we don't have any left, and then hang up.
I think over the last,
That would be my only concern, is somebody instantly discouraged, no liquor license, okay, I'm not even gonna think about that.
but that's not, over the last 4 years, that's not the way we work. We try to present everything back to the village board, and if it's a thing where we're not sure one way or the other, it's coming back to you. If we don't have a feeling, you know, then it's, you know, so.
What type of restaurant is Lacey's gonna be?
Lacey's is a video gaming parlor.
Oh, it's a beauty.
Actually, that gaming parlor started long before Sophia started. They were the ones that were inquiring, but the building construction is what slowed that down. But that started 4 months, 6 months maybe, far before Sophia's even started. And then Sophia's just happened to move like that, opened up where Lacey's still isn't opened up. But they have to serve food just like everything else. And we actually, the gaming parlors, at least some of them, we'd say you have to serve food, but we are going to serve food. We want to see your menu. And these places that have a business plan already have their menu. They send it to us, we prove it and say, okay, this is similar to what we have, let's say, another business in town. So we would say probably that would work. But then again, when you started getting phone calls so rapidly and so many of them, it put the brakes on it somehow.
Well, when you're saying serving food, so they actually have kitchens?
They have to comply with the Will County Health Code, so they have to have a 3-basin sink, they have to have the grease traps, if I remember right. They have to have the walls and everything like that. Now, when you say kitchen, I know of a business in town that has no kitchen, but it has an extensive, I'll call it bar food menu, and you would never know it. That's what we tried to compare it to. If someone would come in and say, okay, they gave us a menu and say, okay, this menu is similar to this particular business, who really doesn't have a kitchen, but they are capable of making this food, and it's sort of unbelievable. I'm trying not to mention his name. After that fact, I even had a question about the food, and I went back to the current business in town. I said, look, you've got a pretty extensive bar menu. What kitchen utensils do you have? They did not have a stove. They do have a self-contained fryer, which doesn't require the hoods, the vents, everything like that. So they are able to make French fries or deep fried foods. But as far as the hamburgers, it can be done in other ways besides a fryer, an oven, or whatever the case may be. So when I had someone question me, I said they have to have a kitchen. Well, then it dawned on me, your definition of a kitchen is not the definition that's required by ordinance. So we have to be careful. What the ordinance does say, you have to serve food, somebody has to be on the premises, and you have to comply with Will County Health Code. And again, the way we worked it, and Bob and I did it, when they walked in the door, we said, we want to see your menu. And I'd say there was 2 of them that literally wanted to put a refrigerator in there, and wanted to go down the street, buy some sandwiches and throw it in there. So that's what we were sort of gauging.
It's not acceptable, I'll give you an example of a restaurant show that has a full-service kitchen, but not the kitchen you think of, and that's Subway. They have a little oven for eating their bread, and then they have a microwave, but they don't have prepared food. They make the sandwiches right there. So that's the example of one restaurant that technically doesn't fit the definition of what we think of as a kitchen.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
Aaron?
Yes.
Caprows?
Yes.
Whaling?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Basil?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
And every year, both the South Suburban mayors and managers and the Will County Governmental League calls for legislative initiatives, basically what laws do we need to change or create, whatever the case be, and every year my mind goes blank. So if you have any that you have in mind, please email either Bob or I, or think that we should change something, or make a suggestion that either association could take as an initiative to improve or change laws, or whatever the case may be. So if you have anything like that, let us know. Any old business, and Scott, I believe this could be considered old business. Talk about
This is the plan. Bob, I'm going to turn this over to you because you have met with the fire department. So here's a set of plans. This was the latest. And I'm going to pass them.
What they want to do is build a 40 by 50 building behind the fire station in the grassy area where the dumpsters were. It's a 2-story building. The roof pitch, I believe, is 412. And the first story would be for the storage of their smaller equipment, and the second floor would be for the storage of their bunkhouse gear, turnout gear, and other stuff. So it is a 2-story building with the second floor being storage. I mentioned to them that we originally refrained from a 2-story building, that we've always talked a 1-story, but this is the plan that they came up with. I told them that we would share this plan with the board and get their input on it. Some of the markups on there are the suggestions that I made to them that they would have to do to make that building more attractive. And we're here tonight to look at the prints and make some suggestions to them. I suggested to them that they would take the brick and go up the corners, up to the top of the roof, with the brick on the corners. The building design would be the same as the fire station. They don't want solid glass doors, but they put glass on the top pane of the garage door.
And we're calling it a print, actually what it is, it's a rendering.
It's a rendering. It's not really
To see what our input would be before they go further with the full-blown prints.
They would have windows on all the sides except the side facing the ball end.
On the back side as well?
They would put them on, at least on this print, they show them on the backside, facing north.
You guys remember where this was gonna be located, correct?
Now, they did talk, Scott, about possibly replacing the ones on the north with skylights under the soffits. Similar to the way our public works garage was built, where the glass goes below the soffit.
Right.
Because there was some concern about falls that could hit up in that area.
This was going to be, located like a drive-in, or what type of board?
Yeah, hardy
Or,
board, I think they
concrete
call
hardy
it.
board?
Yeah, I think the word hardy board was used. They were gonna put a metal roof on it, but it would be on plywood. It wouldn't be a hollow metal roof, they'd have to fix the stack of plywood because of the dents. But we're here to get input from the board as to, and you don't have to respond tonight if you want to send me an email or something, you can. But they are looking for an answer.
Who would they have, just a common stairway going to the second floor?
Yes, it would just be cold storage of all of
Cold storage, maybe.
Just attic space storage.
Yeah.
Just they have no other place.
Records of the fire district, bunk out gear that would be for people that maybe turned in their stuff and they're waiting for a new guy to take their place. They would store that gear in there, fire hose, things of that nature. You know, I don't know where the firemen store.
At one time, there was a two-story building thought to being there, and I don't remember how far it went. It was going, Eastcom, our dispatch center, was going to build the building and possibly put it there.
Right, the first design was they were gonna have sleeping quarters on the second floor. Man cave.
That can go anywhere. My biggest thing is the two-story building.
Yeah, you gotta lug all that stuff up on the second floor.
The building's what, 28 feet high, I think? 24?
So I was just wondering, is that?
20 foot to the wall. I didn't look at it that hard. What's the pitch of the roof?
Looks like 30 feet.
412.
212, 1/6. I'm sorry.
The walls are 30 feet.
I lost 2012.
12.8.
I'm sorry, 20 feet.
With a 212 roof pitch,
Is that
It's good for the youngsters.
right at 4 foot for the roof.
212? Yeah.
So they can be taller than the actual fire station? right?
No, I don't think so. Fire station's probably 30.
Is that, what's the regular height of a two-story building? Is that it?
I don't know if I think that fire station's pretty tall.
Little less.
Because they have, on the front of that building, I think those doors are 14 feet. On the front.
It'd probably be about the same height as the fire department.
You're talking about
Building that's there.
obstructing residents'
That's
views
what I was just gonna ask.
of the park, that bought homes on a park. I mean, I'd be curious to see what kind of square footage they have total now. Seems like a lot. I mean, you're talking about 30, altogether, first floor and second floor, all of a sudden they need to add 3,756 square feet. So it shows 1,756 on the second floor, 2,000 square feet on the first floor. That's 3,756 square feet total. And what do they have now? I mean, everything's there now, everything's stored now, everything's put away now.
I think they've got one truck and one trailer that's not stored.
I see the one trailer on the
I
backside.
think they wanna move that brush truck over there, because that's sideways in the building.
If they were to go back to the one
3,800
story,
square feet.
if they were gonna go back to one story, which like Scott has said, that was our understanding to begin with. Is that what we're looking for? Go back to what they originally proposed?
Depends on what you guys,
I think it would be better than the two-story, like you said, blocking all the views.
Say two-story.
I think it's gonna look terrible back there, you know, with the
Big shed back
So we're gonna go back, the idea is to go back and give them some direction. Like I said, I didn't expect it to be two-story either.
I didn't.
So we talked about a one-story building.
They wanted to house, they wanted to garage their brush truck equipment and ancillary equipment that they had.
Right.
There was never any talk about cold storage.
Okay, but another thing too is, take into consideration the size they're talking, 40 by 50. That's big. It's bigger than the beer stand.
There is no beer stand concession.
The pavilion. No, wait, what was the pavilion?
That was about 40 by.
Or it's bigger than the storage building.
Oh, yes,
that's
it
just
is.
put
It's
up.
bigger
I
than
mean,
the
that's,
storage
That's probably is, yeah.
and that's big. I mean, that 40 by 50 is a huge building.
Basically, you're talking a four-car garage.
I mean, we were concerned about a 20 by 20 building going in as a
The front
concession stand
picture
in the
was
park,
bigger.
and worried about how that's gonna look
Right.
there.
Right.
There's more room in between them, see?
And not to mention, I'm sorry, Scott, I didn't, not to mention, you gotta have access for those drives, right? Those garages, you know, it just,
Now, that area that they staked out, you know, because they put orange flags on the corners, that didn't measure out to be this size of this building. It seems smaller than this proposal.
I didn't see that.
I think they were told to stake out the 40 by 50.
They were told to stake out wherever they
Yeah.
wanted, so that they knew whether or not if they.
I didn't go out with the rule,
40,
no.
Yeah.
whatever the case may be, I don't.
We have to go out and verify. I don't know if those stakes are still up or not.
No, they're not.
They're gone?
They're laying down.
Are they? Well, we could easily measure it ourselves.
We did measure it.
And
It's big.
Well, we'll restake it. How's
And,
that?
and you gotta ask, you know, I have a couple questions. I mean, are they gonna put running water in there? Are they gonna tie into our sanitary in the storm that's right there?
No?
And are we gonna have to move our electrical drop that we just put in there to accommodate?
That
their
may have to
needs?
do.
that may be, now, none of the other thing, our understanding was basically 4 walls and a roof, the aesthetics, whichever we preferred, which we're keeping it like the fire station, and basically the bays to house equipment, mechanic, or fire trucks, whatever. That was our understanding. We didn't hear anything about any bathrooms, water, sanitary, nothing like that. It was just a storage building.
Simple garage.
Basically a garage.
Yes,
Garage, that's it.
That was our understanding.
Two-story garage.
And it has turned into a 2-story garage. Now, there still has been no mention of that, but we haven't had any discussion. And like I say, where this came up with, I don't know. It could have been a suggestion by the architect, you know, and they said, go along with it. We don't know, because when these were presented, they said, we're just giving you this for us to do exactly what we're doing now and give them feedback. So this second story could have been recommended by the architect saying, if you're gonna build this,
Right.
build for storage like we wanted to hear. It's possible, I'm just guessing, don't quote me. Anyways, because we don't know. Bottom line is what I'm getting at, is we don't know how it got to the second story.
Well, they always say it's cheaper to build up than out,
Right.
but, I mean,
And that's a big building, even out. You know, it went from a garage to a mega garage.
I think, though, that's always what it was, because even if they were talking about adding on the other building, it was always talking about like 3 bays. So I
it's the
think
size of our village hall.
Sorry?
It's the size of our village hall.
This year, 2,400 square feet.
Well,
That I do remember.
Yeah.
Right, I think it always was 3 bays, I don't think it was anything small, not that I can recall. But I think we got an idea about your concerns, we can go back and talk. Anything else on that? There is no need to go into executive session, we have nothing new to report, and therefore I ask for a motion to adjourn. Second. Motion made in the second, any question on the motion? Roll call.
Mike,
Yes.
Basil,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Whaley,
Yes.
LaFrance,
Yes.